There's an island off the coast of Scotland that the British government made uninhabitable for 48 years. They never really explained why. And for almost 5 decades, nobody was allowed to set foot on it. So tonight, we're gonna open that file. This is the After Dark file.
You're listening to the After Dark file, where we open the cases that were never meant to be found. What you're about to hear has been documented, verified, and quietly buried, until now.
On the third day after exposure, the casualties begin. Dead sheep can be seen further down the line.
There is an island off the coast of Scotland called Gruinard. It sits in a bay on the northwest coast, close enough to the mainland that on a clear day you can see it from the road. You can see the green hills, the rocky shore.
That sounds almost peaceful.
It does, except there haven't been sheep on Gruinard since 1942, and for almost 5 decades after that, no person was allowed to set foot there either.
Wait, nobody was allowed on the island for 48 years? Why?
That's exactly what the government didn't want you to ask. It's 1942. The Second World War is at its most uncertain. Britain is genuinely afraid of losing, and in that fear, certain decisions get made. Decisions that would be unthinkable in peacetime.
Okay, but what kind of decisions?
One of those decisions was made inside a classified program called Operation Vegetarian. The goal was to develop an anthrax-based biological weapon that could be deployed against Germany's livestock, specifically its cattle, to collapse the food supply and fracture morale from the inside.
So what you're saying is that they were going to starve Germany out using a biological weapon?
Exactly. And to test whether this was even possible, they needed a location: remote, controlled, expendable. They chose Gruinard Island. In the summer of 1942, a team of scientists from Porton Down, Britain's secretive military research facility, arrived on the island with equipment and a flock of sheep.
Don't hurt the sheep. What did they do to the sheep?
They placed them at various distances from a central test point. Then they detonated a bomb filled with anthrax spores. Within days, the sheep began to die.
Wow, they didn't even give them a chance. All of them?
All of them. The scientists confirmed what they needed to confirm. Anthrax could be weaponized. The program was viable. They packed up their equipment, noted the results, and left the island behind. What they left behind with it was a problem that would outlast the war by decades.
Wait, what? So they just left? Like they didn't even clean it up or anything?
They left because anthrax is not like most pathogens. Bacillus anthracis produces spores, dormant, almost indestructible structures that can persist in soil for decades, possibly longer. Standard decontamination methods barely touch them.
So technically, the whole entire island was just, infected.
Soaked in anthrax spores, the British government quietly acquired the island from its private owners, placed warning signs around the perimeter, and declared access prohibited. No official public explanation was given for years.
What did the warning sign say?
Only that landing was forbidden by order of the government. That was it. No explanation. Fishermen passed it, hikers saw it from the road, and the island just sat there. Green, still, and wrong.
Green, still, and wrong. Wow, that's terrifying.
For 30 years, almost nothing was said publicly. The program was classified. The contamination was classified. The decision to simply leave the island and hope no one asked questions was, apparently, also classified.
30 years of silence? How does that even happen?
It wasn't until the 1980s that public pressure and a direct act of protest forced the government's hand.
What kind of protest are we talking about here?
A group calling themselves Dark Harvest collected soil samples from Gruinard and mailed them to government buildings, including the headquarters of Porton Down itself, along with a demand: clean up the island or we'll spread what's in it.
See, that's just wrong. They mailed anthrax soil to government buildings. Wow.
They did. Whether that threat accelerated the timeline is still debated, but work on decontamination began shortly after.
Honestly, I can't even decide if that's insane or brilliant.
Perhaps both.
How do you even clean an entire island contaminated with anthrax?
In 1986, a formal decontamination operation began. Crews in protective gear treated the island's topsoil with 280 tons of formaldehyde solution mixed with seawater. The process was extensive, expensive, and took years.
That's a lot of formaldehyde for a small island. That's a hard word to say. Formaldehyde.
In 1990, the government declared Gruinard safe. A lamb was brought onto the island for cameras, a symbolic reversal of what had happened to the last flock there. The island was returned to the heirs of its original owners. Officially, the story was over.
But it wasn't over, was it?
Scientists estimate anthrax spores can remain viable in soil for somewhere between 48 years and potentially over a century, possibly longer under the right conditions. The 1990 cleanup addressed the surface. What remains deeper in the ground is harder to measure.
So when they declared it safe in the 1990s, they couldn't actually guarantee that.
Gruinard Island is technically open today. People do visit. It's quiet and green, and you can walk across it. And somewhere beneath where you'd be standing, in soil that remembers 1942 the way only soil can, patient, still, undisturbed, is whatever the formaldehyde didn't reach.
The government says it's fine.
They said that before, too.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The British government weaponized anthrax, tested it on Scottish Island, left it contaminated for 48 years, only cleaned it up after someone mailed anthrax soil to their own buildings. And now they say it's perfectly safe to visit? Does that sit right with you?
What I find most unsettling isn't the experiment itself. It's the silence afterward. 30 years of knowing exactly what was buried in that soil, and choosing, every single year, not to say anything. The island is open now, the signs are gone, but the soil has a longer memory than the government does.
In 1942, on Gruinard Island off the coast of Scotland, the British conducted their first scientifically controlled BW field trials. Scientists exploded anthrax bombs near immobilized sheep to determine if the spores would survive an explosion and retain the ability to infect anyone nearby. Test results showed that anthrax could in fact be effectively dispersed by explosive devices and could also remain viable in the soil for decades.
This has been the After Dark File. Every week we open another case, another file that was never meant to be found. If tonight's story stayed with you, good. It should. We'll see you in the dark. This is the After Dark File. Good night.